All right. So, very excited for this conversation we're going to have today. This is going to be with Miss Ashley Rodriguez, and she is super pumped to join us as well. So, let's bring Ashley on. Let's see if we can add Ashley on. Adding right now. And I've known Ashley for quite some time. I had the honor and the privilege to write the foreword for Ashley's new book, Time for Change. And you'll see this young lady, ball of energy. There she is.
There she is. Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Actually, do you have earphones?
I don't.
Because we're getting a lot of feedback.
Okay, give me one minute. It's a lot?
Yeah. It's echoing for me. And it's really loud.
Okay, give me 1 minute. Sorry about that.
It's all good. I'm going to X you out until you can find some headphones. All right. Whew. Sorry about that, guys. I know that was really loud and it was echoing for me. But I'll tell you, while Ashley's getting some headphones, this conversation is really cool because Ashley started a whole movement with her friend Sam Latrico, who we had a conversation with last week, called Time for Change. And I've known Ashley for, I don't even know how many years now. And she passed Cutco, still with Cutco. And she is just super loyal, super hardworking. I mean, is just the epitome of a good person, someone who is caring. I have a fond memory of Ashley as we were out in, where the heck were we? I think we were in Costa Rica, and we were at a beach, and we're all like just hanging out by the beach, kind of like doing our thing, and she's picking up trash along the beach. And I mean, I just clearly remember just thinking to myself of like, wow, we're on vacation, we're in a tropical island, and like it was literally like this little island that we're climbing up rocks, and she's picking up trash. I mean, she's just genuinely a good person, just a great soul, and someone I'm excited to have a conversation with. So if you haven't checked it out yet, you should definitely pick up her book. It's called Time for Change. And it's really all about just a guide on how to build relationships and how to foster those relationships with people in your life. And it's really well done. So let's go ahead and see if Ashley is available and try to bring her back on, because I know the feedback was a little loud. Yep, it's really loud. And well, it's echoing for me when I talk. That's why we need to have headphones, which was in that Facebook message that I sent.
I couldn't find my adapter. I have the iPhone 10. I'm sorry. Is it just really bad?
If anybody's listening or watching right now, if it's only on my end, I could flow with it. But can you hear the echo? If you can comment if you hear this echo happening.
I don't.
So Ashley, what would it take to get earphones?
Right now, I'm not around anywhere where I can get you.
Oh, okay. So Adrian says it's only on my end.
Is it just
lots of echo? So he hears lots of echo. So yeah. So it says Chris says it echoes too. So, but it wasn't echoing when I was on by myself. So what I can do is not talk. You can talk, Ashley. Tell us about time for a change.
Should I? Do you still want to do it?
As long as you're talking, and not me.
Well, don't you have to ask me the questions? Every time we
Yeah, we might just need
Yeah,
to
we might just
reschedule
need
this
to reschedule
combo
this combo
because there's no
because
way.
there's no way.
Watching. I mean, I could share a little bit about Time for Change, but I hate for people to have so much background noise.
Yeah, Ashley needs to turn her
Needs to
camera
turn her
too.
camera too.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
Ash. We're
sorry,
gonna have to
Ash. We're gonna have to
reschedule.
reschedule.
I would love to have the
I'd love to have
conversation
the
now, but
conversation
there's no
now, but there's
way
no
with the
way
feedback.
with the feedback.
And
And
so Bluetooth
so
headphones
Bluetooth
work as
headphones
well. Do you
work
have
as
Bluetooth
well. Do you have
headphones?
Bluetooth headphones?
I don't. I'm not in a spot where I have any of my own stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
So sorry about that, everybody.
Sorry about that,
Why don't we
everybody. Why don't we
reschedule? We'll find
reschedule?
another
We'll find
time
another
where we can
time
have the
where we can
combo.
have the combo.
What's that?
What's that?
I said my apologies. I was really excited about this.
I'm super
I'm
excited too.
super excited too.
I know you told me to bring headphones. I didn't feel, but I will make sure I have them next time.
All good.
I just lost my Apple AirPods. Very sad. I absolutely loved them. They were amazing.
I feel you.
I got to get a new pair.
I totally understand. Actually, I don't hear the echo right now. Wait, actually, it's whatever you just did. I don't hear an echo right now, so that's actually good right now. Whatever you just changed.
Cool. I didn't change anything.
All right, so we're golden. So that works. Whew. All right. Yeah, because that was like painful.
We dropped down one eyeball.
Yeah, painful to hear
okay.
the echo in the whole time. So glad we got it to work. So I already kind of echo gone. Nice, thanks, Adrian. I appreciate it. So excellent. So no need to reschedule. So I was kind of explaining to everyone before, for those that are just tuning in, one of my memories that I have with you, Ashley, was in Costa Rica when you were picking up trash while we're on vacation, climbing up this mountain, and while I'm like, enjoying myself, I watched you pick up trash, which made me feel less about myself because I'm like, I wasn't really caring about this trash. But it was really cool just to kind of see you, just genuinely caring about your surrounding, the environment, other people, and not even just to, not because you wanted the praise or not even for us to talk about it right now. It's just you genuinely wanted to, in that moment, create some sort of positive change. And I've seen that many times over the last few years of knowing you. Was it always that way? Were you always this like, let me save the planet, let me save other people, let me help everyone else? Like, was this how you've been your whole life, or was this is this a new chapter for you?
I love this question. So I don't think that it's a new chapter for me. However, I'm like seeking right now, and one of the reasons I wrote Time for Change was my childhood background. Like, I was in the foster care system, like, just to like throw that out there. And I actually recently reached out to both of my foster families in search of like how I was when I was a child, because I don't have a lot of memories, I don't have a lot of pictures, I don't have videos. So it would be cool to know a lot of that stuff and have stories that's how I've always been. I feel like that's how I've always been, and it's honestly something that I feel like I've struggled with in a way, because you even said it. You said when I picked up the piece of trash, you felt what was the word that you used?
Guilty, maybe. I don't know what the exact word was, but
I think you said like less of yourself.
oh, less
or
of
something
myself.
like
Yeah,
that.
there you go.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like that broke my heart, because I'm like, that's not what I was trying to do, Mike. But it's like, right? Thinking, what is Mike gonna think of me, or is this gonna make Mike love me more? It's like, it was me, you, and Patrick, and I was like, oh my gosh, like there's trash. Like that's how I've been since I can remember. But I've also felt that energy from other people, like, oh, Ashley's just doing that because she just wants to be nice, or she wants to be the teacher's pet, or she's a brown noser, or whatever it is. Like, and I've had to really, within the last 2 years, I've had to say no, like, this is who I am, and really embrace that. Like, this is who I am, and I don't care really what you're thinking right now.
So now you said you were foster family. At what age was that you, from your earliest memory, like what was that time frame as far as was it when you were born? You were born into foster family, or you bounced around a little bit, or?
No, I bounced around. So it was before I was young. I was young. I was in the foster care system for about 5 years, and it's cool because I am reaching out to both of my foster parents and seeing if I could sit down with them and interview them about me and my childhood and when it all started, and just just getting like clarity and things like that. So it was before 2000. So
So
yeah,
you
so
were,
around
at what
right.
age was that? So
I
like,
would say like 6.
so when you were 6 years old is when you were in the system, from
Yeah,
age 6 to age 11, or from age
yeah,
birth to age 6?
6 to 11,
So about six to
around
11.
that age.
Cool.
Yeah,
So from 6 to 11, in the foster system, and I mean, side note, I mean, I know there's some people that are in that system, and there's typically, different stereotypes and stigmas and whatnot. Obviously, fast forward, you're, I don't know, 15 years later or whatever, however old you are.
I'm
Um,
25.
20. Oh, wow, look at you. You're like a grown lady now. I remember the
Okay.
18-year-old Ashley. So
Yeah,
you've been out of the system, of course, for a good chunk of your life, majority of your adult life, all of your adult life, actually. So, what um, what would you say to someone if someone's in that system, or someone's considering to, you know, put a kid into that? Like, I feel like there's shame around that, like that. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong, but is there your experience with it? Was it bad? Were you mistreated? Was it fine? Did you, because you turned out great, but in that time frame early in life, was that like a, challenging time period that you're, from what you remember?
um so it's honestly a very sensitive and an emotional topic.
And for the record, when I have these conversations, I should have created the framework that I speak the unspoken, so I bring that out.
Yeah,
So if you don't
yeah,
want to speak
I
that
haven't watched a lot of these
So
of either.
if you don't want to speak that unspoken, no big deal.
That's
Um,
okay.
because I just go to it, just because
No, that's okay.
I think when us leaders are willing to be vulnerable and have the courage to talk about that unspoken, it helps so many other people. And
Yeah,
if you watch any of these other conversations, I mean, I went straight to it. I was like, "Hey, Kathy, you watched your sister die on TV. Like, she saw the accident, like, on the news. Like, when I had a conversation with Sam, it's like, tell me about, cerebral palsy. When I had a conversation with Patrick, it's like, hey, tell me about Gramps, and your relationship with him when he died. It's like, I just go straight to it, and the reason why is because it takes courage, and you, and along with all these other members of the grab community, are so courageous and so willing to talk openly about subjects and topics that many people aren't willing to talk about. And it helps so many people when we're willing to speak the unspoken, and we actually just speak the truth, and revisit some of those emotions. So I invite you to have the courage and the vulnerability to speak that. But if not,
yeah,
believe us, no one's judging. We could go into a totally different topic, because the main thing we want to talk
yeah,
about, of course, is time for a change. But that, I think people, for them to pick up the book, would love to know who Ashley is. And I
yeah.
think if they could relate to who you were to who you are now, would be really helpful.
Yeah, so I would like to go to a different topic. I appreciate like where you're coming from with it. I just wasn't like mentally prepared
Sure.
for this, and I don't want to like start crying. I can cry another time when I'm ready for that.
Sure.
I would love to have like a follow up call, but that is just to let everyone know like that is one of the reasons for time for change. But like before I share that and I'm vulnerable, like I want to get clarity on that because it's a mission for me. And I also like want to respect the journey I went through with my foster parents and let them know like, hey, I'm gonna start talking about this. I'm gonna start talking about it because it wasn't a few days, it wasn't a few months. Like I lived with one foster family for about 3 years and another for 2, and that's the majority of like my childhood. And talking about that, one of the reasons I don't have my headphones is I actually am a part-time nanny, and I'm watching kids, and I actually want to be a foster mom. that's
Wow.
that's like a whole nother story. And now that like I am working with young kids, so two of them are 4 and one of them are 5, and I'm like, man, like I was around this age, and it's like that's, I mean, I get developed as a person at that stage is what I'm like believing, and like, you know, I'm teaching these young kids like right from wrong and things like that. So I'm like, I'm searching for that myself. So time for change does stem from like those emotions, and I'd love to have a follow-up call with that for sure. um, I did not know you were going to go straight into these serious questions, but I am not ready to bawl my eyes out right now.
Hey, I love that. Oh no, I hear an echo again. What'd you do on your phone? Okay, never mind. It's gone. I love that, and I think it takes a lot of courage to even just say what you just said. And I think everyone that's watching this was like, wow, that was beautiful. In fact, Adrian says that was beautiful. Because it is, and we're
Appreciate
all
that.
we're all on a journey. And even though you're 25, that was a chapter of your life, 15 years ago. The fact is there's so much trauma around what happens between those ages, and we're not equipped to kind of revisit some of that trauma and until we develop into the person who can handle that. So most of us just bury it. Most of us avoid it. Most of us just like say forget that trauma. I don't even go there. But you're saying, hey, I'm on the journey right now to figure out what I can draw out from this chapter of my life. And that's really
Yeah.
beautiful. So, and obviously, where you are right now is right where you're supposed to be, and you're on this exciting journey. So, we can fast forward to teenage Ashley. Teenage Ashley. I remember Ashley as a softball player, right? Um, or
I
is
was
it?
actually not a softball player,
So what
but
did?
I love you, Mike, though.
So what was it? What was it that you played in high school?
I um I did 4 sports, so I did cross country, soccer, and weightlifting and track,
Soccer.
and that's one of, yeah, and that was one of the reasons. Like I remember talking to Jenna and having that conversation, and that's why we were able to relate so much, is because I played sports. And one of my best friends, Amber Maxey, played softball, so I think that's like what you remember.
Mm.
And if I could have played more sports in high school, I probably, like at that stage I would have, but the future Ashley would have actually only played one and mastered that one. But yeah.
So you played all these sports. Where do you, I mean, was it you had this natural competitive spirit, or was it more like you
Yeah.
just kind of like the camaraderie that came with the team, or?
It's both. So I'm naturally a competitive person. Like I like, I mean, I like to win. It's a good feeling to win. But I would say the team building aspect is definitely something that I love. Being surrounded by people that are wanting to challenge themselves every single day is awesome.
Mm,
So,
that's great.
can this get muted at all by any chance? Or no?
No, everything sounds good right now, but I don't know how to mute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just watching kids as well. So
Cool. So let's it sounds fine on my end. So as far as right now, so you are you found this competitive spirit and camaraderie in sports. You graduate high school, you start the knife job with Cutco, right around that time. Um, what do you feel like in the late teens, early 20s showed up for you that you decided to kind of put into this book, if anything, during that time frame?
sorry, can you say that part again? What was the
So
question?
you're in the late teens, early 20s. You obviously met Sam in your Cutco world, in the Cutco world, doing the knife job. And I remember you working as a student manager. You're selling Cutco. You're kind of going through the process. Did any of that late teens, early 20s, that version of you show up in the making of this book where you said, there's a lot of people in that age range that need to hear a lot about more like relationship development, is that like your target for the like the late teens, early 20s, or is your target audience more of like later on in life? You know, because after reading the book, it seems like this is great stuff for the kid to the parent, you know, for them to foster relationships kid to parent. There's also great tools for parent to kid. There's great tools for intimate relationship. So I'm curious if like some of this stuff showed up from your late teens, early 20s, or if it's more of like a passion that started towards your mid 20s. Where, at what age range would you say some of the content came from for the book?
I would say like early 20s, like 22 to 24, because this has been like this project and this book Time for Change has been on my mind for so long, and it just started with like notes just like in my phone. And this is probably a mistake, but we don't have like a specific target of people that we're targeting, because it's like, man, if I would have known what I know now in my 20s while I was 13, 14, 15, 16, like, you know, like I feel like you're never too young to start like learning about this stuff. I mean, honestly, even now, like the kids I watch, like I said, are 4 and 5, and I'm teaching them like, hey, speak like how you feel, or your sister's never gonna know. I mean, given an example, the 4-year-old had, or the 5-year-old has a 4-year-old sister, and the 5-year-old wanted to play in her room by herself, but they share a room. And the 4-year-old comes in, and then they start arguing. And I sat them down in a room, and I said, hey, I want you to come up with a solution to this problem. And it might sound silly because they're 4 and 5, but they're smart enough. They're very smart at this age. If people don't have kids, they're if people do have kids, you know, and if you don't, they're smart at this age. And they came up with a solution based off of advice I gave them, you know? So I don't feel like it's ever too young, someone's ever too young or too old. And as a matter of fact, I think it should start at a younger age, because that's when they pick up stuff the quickest. But for me, it really started making sense in my, I would say, early 20s, but I'm only 25, where I'm like, wow, like I need to take action, and I want to take massive action on this. Like Time for Change, it's not just a book where somebody's going to pick up and read. And like, I hate saying this, but like when I look at it, I'm not saying I focus on all of like the things that I messed up on, but I'm like, you know what? The the mission for it is what I want people to understand. Not necessarily just the content. Like I want them to understand that like communication is, I think, one of the, well, really, I should say the most important thing in any relationship, because I'm not a mind reader. And if I don't know what you're thinking or what you want, how the heck am I supposed to change, for one, or transition? So, I mean, I guess it just depends on the person and when they feel like they're ready to like attack it, or if
Hmm.
that helps.
So when you said the mission, what is that mission?
The mission for Time for Change.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the mission, well, as far as books go, Sam and I, we want to have 1 million copies sold by 2000, by the end of the year, which sounds absolutely crazy, but we're trying to get there. Um, and I would say the biggest thing is to help people understand that like it's not what we have, but who we have in our lives that matter. Because there's been so many times where I'm caught up in what I'm gonna wear, what I look like, what I have, or I mean, so many materialistic things that I'm like, you know what? I'm getting so caught up in my work, right? Like, there's a quote that says, don't get so busy making a living that you forget to live your life. And like, this really hit me coming back actually from Haiti when I went on a missions trip. And I'm used to going on all these awesome all inclusive trips with Vector, and they're amazing, splurging and eating as much and whatever, like having everything, abundance of everything, to going to Haiti where I was, they had nothing. And you know, like it just really hit me that it's not what I have, it's who I have. And also like just relationships like around me, like I started analyzing not just my own relationships but other relationships around me, and just questioning like, why did that person split up? Like they were, you know, if it was an intimate relationship, like, wow, like I thought they had a perfect relationship, or hearing stories about best friends not being friends anymore, or siblings not really having communication with each other, or even coworkers like not liking each other. And it's like you're there just as much as, well, probably more than, you are home. You should like your workplace, and the bottom line is communication.
So if you have someone listening right now and they're in conflict with someone, they're not seeing eye to eye, whether it be a sibling or a coworker or a parent or a kid, and obviously when the emotions get high, it's tough for us to be rational. What could they find from reading this book that might be able to allow them to take that step back, um, and still be able to have the conversation even if they don't feel like it?
Yeah, I love that. So I actually learned in Vector with Cutco. I forget who said it. I think it might have been Trey Harris where I heard it from first. But just like you said, when our emotions are high, our logical thinking is low. And I don't know when I fully understood that, but I just remember it clicking one time where I got into an argument with someone, and I just like got so angry, and I'm like, whoa, like it was like a switch. It was like super angry to like, whoa, I cannot get this angry at this person, because like really, like, I love this person and I don't want to feel this way. And when I felt like that switch from being super aggressive and like angry and like almost wanting to say like I hate this person, to that point to my emotions are high so my logical thinking is low, like that's one of the things you can find in time for change, is just number one, awareness. How many people know that? Like, I'm very curious, like, out of my friend group, if you didn't hear it from me, and you're not reading books, and you're not, you're not in a company like Cutco, or you're not in sales where you're learning and you're growing, like, where are you learning this stuff? Where do you learn when emotions are high, logic is low? Not from your parent that's, yelling at you and can't control their own emotions. And I'm not saying all parents are like that by any means, but I am analyzing, and I know I'm only just 25, but I literally went to parks and people watched how people talk to their kids, how you know
If anyone's still watching, is it me that froze or is it Ashley that froze? If anyone's watching right now, is it me that's frozen or is it? Oh, I guess it was Ashley. So, for until she gets back, I just want to echo what Ashley was just saying. That is so rich, of what she was just saying, because when the emotion high is logic is low, being aware, like once we're aware, then we can actually do something about it. So if we're aware, we can do something about it. What does that mean? So, if I'm in an argument with someone and there are, cool, appreciate it, Adrian. So hopefully she pops back up. So essentially, if we're in a conversation with someone, I say if I'm having an argument with a sibling or a parent, and I am in the middle of the argument, I'm like, man, I'm really pissed off right now. I'm aware of it. Okay, I'm aware. Then I have the ability to consciously do something about it. And that's what Ashley's book offers you. It gives you an opportunity to assess and grab tools that can allow you to think about steps 2 and 3. Step 1 is the most important. What Ashley said is awareness. So it's like, okay, I'm triggered right now. Like I am triggered. Well, now what? Time for a change gives you the resources to be able to, okay, when you're triggered, here are some steps that you can take. Here are some questions that you could answer. Here are some tools that you can use. Here's some patterns that you could be aware of, and how to interrupt some of those patterns. So, I don't want to take too much away from Ashley just in case she hops back on, but you'll learn in the book that a certain question you could ask yourself of is this more about them or is it more about me? For example, if I get in an argument and the easy one is doing the dishes or taking out the trash, something real small. It's like, I don't feel like doing the dishes. It's like, I always do the dishes. And that moment in time, I'm like, am I projecting my own anger onto my partner? Because obviously it's not about the dishes, it's about me feeling inadequate in the relationship in that moment. Okay, whew, I'm triggered right now. I feel inadequate right now. Well, question one is, where does my adequacy come from? Do I rely on my partner to make me feel adequate? That's question number one. If the answer is yes, then I might need to shift my focus and not rely on something outside of me to feel adequate. If the answer is no, no, I don't need to rely on my partner to feel adequate. Why do I know that's the truth? The truth is I don't need my partner to feel adequate because before I had my partner, I was able to feel adequate. So I was able to feel adequate about life before I met my partner. So why am I relying all of a sudden on my partner to make me feel adequate? So it's like, okay, if I don't need my partner to make me feel adequate or feel good enough, you could change out the word for good enough or capable, or these are other word choices that we could use. But if I don't need to rely on my partner to make me feel adequate, where does it come from? Well, it comes from me. So where is it really stemming from? Maybe it's the pressure from work. Maybe it's the pressure that I'm feeling from my health and how I'm treating my body. Maybe it's the pressure that I'm feeling from being behind on some financial goals or benchmarks. Or maybe it's maybe this pressure is coming from somewhere else and I'm projecting it onto my partner. And I think that's what Ashley was just saying, is that once we have the awareness, I'm triggered right now, then I could figure out and dissect and analyze and use questions and these tools that are in Time for a Change to create take the awareness and do something with it. So I think that's really rich content. It looks like maybe Ashley's phone may have died. Not sure. Let's check let's see if she texted me while I'm on Facebook Live. But if you haven't picked up a copy of Time for Change, I highly recommend you to do so. I had the privilege and the honor of being asked to write the foreword for the book, and it really is a beautiful book, and I do stand behind it. It's not like I get royalties every time someone picks up a copy, although that might be a good idea. It's more about people getting exposed to this content. So I'll make sure that we post the link in the comments. Looks like maybe Ashley's phone has died, but I just want to say it's been a privilege and an honor supporting Time for Change. You can find them on Facebook with her and Samantha, and just such great content, such a great movement and a mission that they're on to really help people grow as individuals while evolving as whether it be a couple, an intimate relationship, or evolving as parent-daughter, parent-son, as co-workers, colleagues, just as human beings in general. So pick up your copy, check it out, join the Facebook group, and if you have any questions, reach out to Ashley Rodriguez directly. She is just such a genuine person, super caring about others, about the environment, about just life in general. So stay in contact with her. And if you have any other questions, you can feel free to check us out in the Grab community. And what's really awesome is part of the proceeds from the book sales are going to PB&J for Tampa Bay. Ashley and Samantha chose to make donations and contributions to PB&J for Tampa Bay. You could go to pbnjfortampabay.com. You can check us out on Facebook as well. We have a feeding frenzy coming up in the Clearwater, Florida area. We're looking to expand to cities all across the United States. I just had a conversation with one of my good friends and mentors, Andrew Biggs. He's looking to also create a frenzy potentially up in Chicago area, which would be great. So we want to expand globally. It'd be awesome, but really just nationally. If we could get 100 locations across the United States making 500 sandwiches, that's 50. How do you make 500 sandwiches? One loaf of bread is 10 sandwiches. So how do you make 500? You just need 50 loaves of bread, maybe a couple jars of, maybe 5 or 6 jars of PB&J, and you get 100 locations doing that each month out of the year. That's 600,000 meals that we could provide across the country. So my goal is to reach 1 million meals, and we're really excited about making that happen. Right now we're at 74,000 sandwiches we've made since 2015, and this month will be our 4-year anniversary officially. So It's going to exponentially grow from here. So thanks for the support. Thanks for joining us, and we'll stay in touch. Thanks, Aiden, for your conversation and support, man. We'll talk soon. Later.